Before I start today's episode, a quick disclaimer and then one clarification. The data and the figures quoted in this podcast have been compiled from multiple credible sources: government reports, parliamentary replies, World Bank, IMF, and independent analysts. These numbers are indicative, meant to reflect the larger trend. Viewers who wish to explore the full details can refer to the original sources listed in the description given below. Now, in today's episode, I will be talking a little bit about Pakistan. Now, viewers are also requested to note that there is no comparison between India and Pakistan today on any front. Pakistan is and remains a failed state driven largely by the ambition of its army. Any comparison made here is purely for academic reasoning to highlight how Pakistan's misplaced priorities of religion over reason, hatred over harmony, and neglect of education pushed it into a political decay and economic disaster. India, on the other hand, chose secularism, inclusivity, and early investments in education and health, which laid the foundation for the progress what we see today. Yesterday, I saw this table on the Facebook page of Sri Prashant Bhushan. It shows how India is spending less and less on education, from 4.3% of the union budget in 2009 and 10 to 2.5% in 24-25, while India keeps splashing money on infrastructure, new roads, highways, and airports. New highways have more than doubled in the last 20 years, so has the rural connectivity been improved under the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. Overall, investments in the urban sector have gone up 16 times, from 1,78,053 crores to 28,52,527 crores. But somewhere in this push to make India glitter by the Modi government, education is under neglect. Last year's economic survey had pointed out that our spending on education was extremely modest, at 2.7% of our GDP. So that's today's story, today's episode. Is it going to be Vikas or education? India now stands at a crossroad. One road is wide, shining, and full of cars. It leads to airports, bullet trains, and expressways. The other road is narrow and dusty. It leads to school, laboratories, and libraries. The question is, which one truly takes us forward? Because a nation's strength is not in how fast it moves, but in how wisely it thinks. Today we ask, education or highways, which way should India go? When India became independent in 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru had a clear vision. His idea of nation building rested on three pillars: education, scientific temperament, and engineering skills. He created the IITs, IIMs, AIMS, CSIR labs, and the Atomic Energy Commission, not to show power but to build capacity. In those early years, India was poor between 51 and 1964. Spending on education rose from about 0.6% of our GDP to around 1.5%. Small yet revolutionary for a nation rebuilding from scratch. Nehru understood something timeless. You can import machines, but you cannot import minds. The Kothari Commission in 1964-66 later captured that vision, recommending that India should spend 6% of its GDP on education if it truly wanted to develop. We don't have to go far to look at what happens when you don't spend on education and you only spend on glittering infrastructure. Across the border, Pakistan took a different route. At independence, it was slightly richer than India with modern cities and higher per capita income. But over the decades, it made the fatal choice to invest in glitter, not growth. From 1947 to 2000, Pakistan's government, often military, poured money into highways, luxury imports, and urban showpieces. Education was an afterthought. For over 70 years, Pakistan's education spending stayed below 2% of the GDP, sometimes barely 1.5%. They built motorways that dazzled visitors but couldn't build schools for their children. The rich lived in comfort, the poor lived in ignorance. Even the Pakistanis began calling their own people Jahils, uneducated and uninformed. By 2024, Pakistan stood as a warning, a country of concrete without consciousness, borrowing from the world and bankrupting its future. The reason Pakistan's highways looked so impressive was simple. They were built on easy money. Grants from the US, loans from Saudi Arabia, China, and the IMF, each project financed by debt, not discipline. By 2025, Pakistan's public debt hit Pakistani rupee 76 trillion, over USD 269 billion, more than 70% of its GDP. The country now borrows just to pay interest. They built highways they couldn't afford and mortgaged the education of generations yet unborn. Fast forward to India in 2025. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has witnessed the largest infrastructure drive in its history. Expressways, airports, metro lines, smart cities. In the 24-25 union budget, infrastructure spending hit 11.11 trillion rupees, about 3.4% of our GDP, a record in itself. But while the roads widened, the classrooms stayed small. Combined public education spending, center and states, is roughly 4.1% of the GDP as in 21-22, far below the 6% benchmark. The center's share is just 1% of the GDP. The Ministry of Education's direct budget barely is 0.4%. So we spend three times more on asphalt than on aptitude. We call ourselves Vishwaguru, the world's teacher, yet invest less in teaching our own children than most developing countries. Today we boast that India feeds 80 crore people free of cost, two-thirds of the nation. But should we be proud of that? After 75 years of independence, is it a badge of success or a mark of failure that so many still depend on free grain? We have built world class airports but not world class schools. A farmer's child can see a Vande Bharat train pass through his village but can't afford a decent teacher. The poor can stream 4K videos on smartphones, but their kids study in classrooms without a ceiling fan. That's the paradox of modern India. Our infrastructure shines while our intellect is struggling. Take the National Highways Authority of India NHAI, our symbol of modern growth. Between 2017 and 2022, its debt rose from 75,000 crores to over 3.54 lakh crores, a five-fold jump. To repay, it now relies on tolls asset monetization, and massive budgetary grants from Delhi. In the financial year 25, nearly 60% of the Road Transport Ministry's total budget goes just to keep NHAI afloat. So every time you cross a toll plaza and pay that rupees 200, remember you are not just paying for the road, you are paying for the debt. A debt the poor never asked for but must repay through their higher fuel prices and higher transport costs. Pakistan borrowed to impress the world. India is borrowing to impress itself. Infrastructure is vital, but infrastructure without education is a body without a brain. Roads can take you somewhere, but only knowledge tells you where to go. If India keeps prioritizing construction over cognition, visibility over vision, we risk following the same path Pakistan did 75 years ago. A path paved with debt and pride, but empty on purpose. The rich will drive on highways, the poor will walk in ignorance. And one day the nation might just wake up, educated too little, indebted too much. Nehru once said, "The future belongs to those who can make friends with science." That future is slipping away. We can build 10,000 kilometers of expressways, but it won't matter if we can't produce a generation that can think, innovate, and lead. Nations don't collapse when their roads crack, they collapse when their minds stop questioning. The real superpower is not the country that builds the most roads, but the one that builds the most minds. So I end today's episode with a question to all of you: education or highways, or probably both? Which way should India go? Thank you for watching.